In the second part of the screencast, I transpose from the key of G minor back to the key of B flat minor using the same overall approach of voice leading plus common tone gateway, just that instead of using both the chords that share the common tone, this time I will switch one with the other. Now I'd also like to use all three examples shown here to elaborate the concept of voice leading a bit, because that's integral to what we're doing here. But then I think I will hold on or save it for part 3 of the screencast. For now, we'll directly go to example B. Now example B has a progression in the key of G minor. The progression can be said as a half diminished or a minor 7 flat 5 chord on the second degree, moving to a minor 7 chord on the fifth degree, moving to a minor 7 chord on the first degree. In terms of chords, that would be A half diminished going to D minor 7 going to G minor 7. Now this progression in bars 1 and 2 is repeated in bars 3 and 4, and you can see I'm looping it 4 times just so that I can join in between singing the top notes of each of those chords to form the top note melody. Let's go ahead and hear example B. Now, what I want you to focus is on the fourth beat of the first bar in example B, which shows the chord D minor 7 in its second inversion. If you look closely, the top note is the note C. Now, in the example C, what I will be doing is, if you look at again the fourth beat of the first bar, I will be replacing this chord or substituting the D minor 7 with the C half diminished. But you will note that the top note again is C. So what this is essentially doing is that we are using the top note, a common top note, that's a common tone between both these chords, to ease our brain into reorienting itself towards a new direction. Now you will ask me initially how the reorientation is going to happen, but the first simple answer is that you can see while the top notes are the same, the notes underneath in both these chords are different. So that should give you some idea, but let's hear this example and we'll get talking about it a bit more after that. Before I do that though, I'd want to remove this loop that I have in bars 3 and 4 example B so that I can flow directly from example B into example C, and that is when the switch will happen, when the brain is expecting a different chord there. Let's hear examples B and C. Now, I purposefully did not sing the solfege syllables in example C. I'll tell you the reason for it a bit later. But now, for now, you could see that the beat 4 of example C in the first bar has this chord C half diminished, which has the same common tone as the chord D minor 7 in example B. And it's again on the fourth beat of the first bar. So the brain was expecting this chord, but it encountered the C half diminished chord. Now why does the C half diminished chord want us to reorient ourselves towards the new key of B flat minor 7? Now, the reason for that is the C half diminished chord happens to be a 2 half diminished chord in the key of B flat minor. And the 2 half diminished chord in any minor key has a very strong pull towards the root chord or the 1 minor 7 chord. And that's the reason why the brain wants to, it gets an indication that it wants to start to reorient itself. But then that process is concretized only in the second bar of example C, where I play a flat 3, 2, one progression in the new key, in the key of B flat minor. That would be D flat major 7, going to C half diminished, going to B flat minor 7. Now this second bar actually concretizes the movement for us in our brains. So the transition starts off on the fourth beat of the first bar, and then it gets cemented in across the second bar using chords flat 3, 2, 1. Now that takes care of the common tone substitution. Now I did not sing the solfege syllables here. Now bars 3 and 4, let me tell you that they are exactly the same as bars 1 and 2. Now I didn't write the solfege, or didn't sing the solfege syllables rather, because what happens is the first bar, or rather bar 3, has most of the chords that are taken from the key of G minor, and the next bar, that is bar 4, has all the chords taken from the key of B flat minor. So which solfege syllables should I be singing? Now one approach could be to sing the top notes as the solfege syllables in the key of the target key that we are looking at, which is B flat minor in this case. In that case, these notes would be T, T, So, Re, Me, Re, Do. Let's hear how that sounds. T, T, So, Re, Me, Re, Do. Now that would be nice from an understanding perspective, but as you realize that most of the chords in this bar are from the key of G minor. So if you'd rather want to sing this bar, in terms of G minor, and then switch off to the key of B flat minor in bar 4, then that would be slightly tricky, because I'll tell you why. As I start to sing the solfege syllables here, first of all, the solfege syllables of the top note in the key of G minor would be Re, Re, Te, Fa, and from this point onwards, if I were to sing in the new key, which is Me, Re, Do, that would require me to jump, because Me, Re, Do in this key would be different. Re, Re, Te, Fa, Me, Re, Do. That would be in the current key. But I need to jump to Me, Re, Do. Just here, and you'll get to know what I'm speaking. That is Re, Re, Te, Fa, Me, Re, Do. That would be the key of G minor. But we have to jump at this point from the key of G minor now to the solfege syllables in the key of B flat minor. So it's going to be more like Re, Te, Fa, Me, Re, Do. Re, Re, Te, Fa, Me, Re, Do. Now this will require some practice, but I was just showing it for the purpose of illustration and for the purpose of solving this problem as to which solfege syllable you'd be taking in this kind of a situation. Well, I leave it to you and your discretion and the situation that you're in.